Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 2. I am Raymond Ita, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari says $400 million spent on Ajaokuta steel will yield $1.6 billion. Ukraine shoots down 16 Iranian-made drones. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Afternoon with the reports that President Muhammadu Buhari has revealed that $400 million has been spent by his administration to transform the Ajaokuta steel complex in Kogi State. He said the investment made in the steel company will add $1.6 billion in income to the Nigerian economy and create over 500,000 estimated jobs. According to the president, no other single project holds the key to unlocking the potential of the state as much as the Ajaokuta steel complex, which his administration inherited as a long moribund complex. President Buhari, who was welcomed by Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello, spoke of the determination of his administration to position the state as an industrial hub as well as a solid mineral power base. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has mourned Brazil's died at age 82 after fighting colon cancer, and the development triggered an outpour of condolences, with President Buhari joining the long list of world leaders and footballers mourning the legendary Brazilian. According to a statement made by the presidential aide Garba Shehu, President Buhari's tribute says Pelé led a good life and made a huge contribution to the development of global football in particular and world sports in general. President Buhari's tribute also said Pelé had an enormous generosity of spirit and humility despite his greatness as a footballer and sportsman. In the meantime, the 2,053 water supply schemes and projects developed in urban centers and rural areas in various states across the country. Data obtained from the Federal Ministry of Water Resources in Abuja shows that 6,761 of the water schemes supplying potable water to 32,008,600 Nigerians were solely developed by the federal government between 2016 and 2022. Reports say a total of 3,292 water supply projects serving a population of 5,262,189 people were jointly developed by the federal government in partnership with states, local governments, communities, donor agencies, and development partners. Anti-Thuggery outfit. Chairman of the State Anti-Thuggery Standing Committee, Bello Bashashua, disclosed this while speaking with newsmen in Gusau. Bello said Governor Matawale gave the approval for the recruitment, saying that the committee was established by the state governor, Bello Matawale, under an executive order to fight thuggery, drug abuse, and other related crimes across the state. In a separate development, Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun has signed the state's 2023 budget into law. Signing the 472 billion naira appropriations bill passed earlier by the State House of Assembly, Governor Abiodun said it will ensure full implementation of all items on the bill. He further said in order to sustain momentum in building a bright future for the state in his administration, he will make sure that the budget is reflective of what the people of Ogun State see. He thanked the Speaker and members of the House of Assembly for their diligence, which culminated in the passage of the budget before the end of 2022. On judiciary matters, Justice Maryam Hassan of the Federal Capital Territory, Nigeria CBN, Godwin Emefiele with terrorism and economic crimes of national security. Justice Hassan, who barred the DSS from arresting, inviting or detaining Emefiele, declaring the terrorism allegations against the CBN governor by the DSS as vindictive, callous and oppressive and of no effect. In a judgment on the originating summons filed by the Incorporated Trustees of Forum for Accountability and Good Leadership to enforce the fundamental right of Emefiele, Justice Hassan also restrained the DSS from further harassing or threatening to detain him. Recall that earlier in December, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho, declined an application by the DSS to arrest and detain Emefiele. Justice Soho, while declining the motion ex parte filed by an applicant in the absence of the respondent, said the secret police did not provide any concrete evidence to substantiate its claims that Emefiele was involved in terrorism financing and to boost activities in Nigeria and other African countries come 2023. According to a Reuters survey, the German companies hope to capitalize on opportunities in areas such as green hydrogen and liquefied natural gas, with 43% planning to increase investments in the continent. The poll of members of the German African Business Association also showed that a further 39% of the association's members said the German companies have invested about 1.6 billion euros in Africa in 2021, of which about 1.1 billion euros went to the sub-Sahara region. Reports say as Europe's biggest economy has been seeking to reduce its reliance on Russia for gas since the invasion of Ukraine, Carnegie said he sees big opportunities in the energy sector in Africa. Of the unstructured supplementary service data offered to banks due to over 80 billion naira debt. While speaking with Newsman, the chairman of the Licensed Association of Telecom Operators of Nigeria, Benga Adebayo, said the operators had sought regulatory approval to implement partial removal of the USSD services. He noted that the disconnection would be done in batches, starting with the highest data immediately after they get approval. While speaking on the matter, Telco's head of operations, Alton Bulahan Awonuga, said the debt had become huge, necessitating the need for a regulatory approval. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel says his administration will complete about 60 kilometers of roads in Oroganam local government area before the end of his administration. Governor Emmanuel gave the assurance while inaugurating the 14-kilometer Ikodokpane-Senikot Road and the 4.94 promise to the people of the area, assuring that the remaining roads and bridges with other development projects would be completed before the end of his administration. Governor Emmanuel therefore thanks the people of the area for providing an enabling environment for the contracts, the road projects, especially the solar power systems installed on the road. Meanwhile, Governor Udom Emmanuel has encouraged the people of the state to invest in commercial agriculture as a way of generating sustainable income. Governor Emmanuel, who gave the encouragement while inaugurating by establishing processing plants to add value to agricultural produce from the state. The governor appealed to cassava and corn farmers to take advantage of the plants in the area to sell their product at a better price. A Government House correspondent, Jane Uwa, reports that the governor said the starch processing factory would meet the ever-increasing industrial starch in the country's pharmaceutical and
so that whatsoever you produce, we can actually achieve what I call appropriate pricing. Even right now, with what we are building in Ukanafun for palm kernel, crude palm kernel oil, and palm oil, women shouldn't be staying. We have created outlets, even for cassava, where we want to off-take, so that you can have appropriate pricing for what you are producing. If you're producing cassava, you should be able to train your children with gari or with that cassava. You should be able to also live a very comfortable life with it. So we are creating this enabling environment as government so that we can improve the lives of the people. We can also minimize poverty.
To Africa now, STVNg provided new details of last week's coup bid in a press briefing in Banjul. He also presented the government's response to the fraud scheme and said investigators are looking into the different angles of the coup, noting that alleged coup plotters wanted to detain ministers and senior officials to prevent foreign interventions. Reports say 7 soldiers have been arrested and at least 2 other people accused of playing a role in the coup are still at large. Meanwhile, the investigative panel has 30 days to report back on the coup attempt that targets
suspected involvement of sponsors for the coup plot from civilian collaborators who are both within and outside of the country. The investigations are seriously looking into this angle. In addition, in accordance with the laws of the Gambia and in line with international best practice, the Gambia government has constituted a joint investigation team to investigate the alleged.
Still in Africa, Togolese traders have welcomed regulations regarding the reopening of China's borders to the world. But China has affirmed intentions to scrap its COVID quarantine measures for overseas arrivals starting January 8, 2023, after 3 years of tight restriction. The number of calls to inquire about overseas travel has increased in the country. Starting from January 8, travelers to China will have to provide a negative PCR test taken within 48 hours before boarding to enter the country. On the foreign scene, China is meeting with its Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. A report say against the background of a difficult international situation, China is ready to increase political cooperation with Russia and to be a global partner. Defense forces shot down 16 Iranian-made Shahed drones overnight through the early hours of today. The attacks come a day after Russia launched one of the largest missile bombardments against Ukraine since the war began. Reports say the drones attacked Ukraine from the southeastern and northern directions. To overcome the air defense system of Ukraine, the troops tried to use the Dnipro River bird, bringing the total shot over the Kyiv region to 7. Still to come in the news. Funeral of On our business news, the Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, Mohammed Aruna, has disclosed that the agency has collaborated with a German firm, Atmosphere Germany, to design and manufacture smokeless stoves. According to him, this is in a bid to promote the United Nations agenda on clean energy. He said the distribution of the stoves and cooking pots have been approved for all the geopolitical zones by President Stoves. He added that the President has also approved the installation of 6,000 solar home systems in the residencies of the less privileged in all local government areas of the state. Aruna further said that commercial production of the smokeless stoves will soon begin in Kano and in Agada near the Sabangari Kefi local government area. A number of countries are imposing restrictions on visitors from China after Beijing announced it would remove curbs on overseas travel as COVID cases surge at home. Hospitals across China have been overwhelmed by an explosion of infections following Beijing's decision to lift strict rules that had largely kept the virus quarantine on arrival, while prompting many jubilant Chinese people in making plans to travel abroad. In response, the United States and several other countries have announced that they would require negative COVID tests from all travelers from mainland China. Still in health, the Nigerian Medical Association (NMA) says that the scourge of brain drain is immensely hitting the nation's health sector hard, noting that the federal government should take steps to stop. The association said the nation's health sector had deteriorated in healthcare delivery, adding that it is also feeling brain drain. NMA President Dr. Uche Ojinma lamented that the difficulties faced by Nigerian doctors have worsened in recent times. It further said the country is still plagued with disease. And now in sports, late football legend Pelé will soon be laid to rest, with the funeral set for the first week of January 2023. Reports say the wake will be held on Monday, the 2nd, in Urbano Caldeira Stadium, best home, where he enchanted the world. According to his former club Santos, the body of Pelé, who died at the age of 82, will be taken from the Albert Einstein Hospital to the Estadio Urbano Caldeira in Villa Belmiro on Monday morning, while the coffin will be placed in the center of the pitch. Reports say those who want to pay their last respect to the king of football will pass through Canal 6, where Pelé's for family members. Meanwhile, tributes have continued to flow for the only man to win the World Cup 3 times, first as a 17-year-old in 1958, again in Chile 4 years later, and the iconic third win in Mexico in 1970. 3 games, and Orlando Magic center Maurice Wagner for 2 games, with 9 other players who were handed 1-match suspensions following a mass scuffle during a game a day earlier. A Pistons guard Hamidou Diallo had been given a 1-game ban. 8 Magic players will also serve suspensions of that duration. Wagner, Hayes and Diallo have all been ejected after shoving a match that had 1-game suspensions issued to the 8 Magic players for leaving the bench area during an altercation will serve on a staggered basis to ensure the availability of 8 healthy players in its next 2 games. On our entertainment news, reality TV star T-Boss has put out some advice to mothers regarding their child covering and fitting clothing with comfy underwear before leaving the house with kids. According to her, kids can make their mothers engage in different inconveniencing activities that could lead to public embarrassment if not well packaged. The TV star to school. According to her, mothers should always find time to manage their personal hygiene and physical outlooks before appearing in the public with kids. But still on entertainment, fancy Achillanu, a Nigerian-American and 21 wedding plans. Achillanu and Ekubo officially announced their engagement in May 2021, but 3 months later, Fancy deleted all pictures of Alexx from her Instagram page and their joint Instagram account, announcing that they are no longer together. However, the model has recently taken to Instagram to apologize for the pain she had caused him and his family. And that's all we have time for you on the news. Do ensure to follow us on all our social media platforms, and do also subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our I Am Raymond Ita. Good afternoon.